In the bustling emergency room of Central Hospital, Derek Bailey's life was following its routine course. Graduated with honours in medicine, at 37 years old he was exactly where he had planned. A respected surgeon, financially stable, and with an orderly life that reflected his methodical personality. Nothing in his predictable routine had prepared him for that Tuesday in November. "Dr. Bailey, we need you in room 3. Cardiac case seems serious," called a nurse holding the door. He nodded, adjusting his stethoscope as he quickly walked through the familiar corridors. Room 3 was unusually crowded. Paramedics, nurses, and a young woman with red eyes holding the hand of an older woman struggling to breathe. "Mrs. Linda Smith, 67 years old, blood pressure 180/110, severe chest pain started an hour ago," reported the paramedic, handing over a clipboard. Derek quickly examined the lady. "Possible heart attack. We need an ECG and cardiac enzymes now," he commanded, turning to the younger woman. "Are you a relative?" "Daughter. I'm Alexis," she replied, her trembling voice contrasting with the self-control in her eyes. Something in that look made him pause for a second. "We'll take care of her, don't worry," he assured, returning to his usual efficiency. The following hours were of intense work. Mrs. Linda needed emergency angioplasty, a procedure Derek conducted with the precision that had made him known in the hospital. When he finally left the operating room, he found Alexis sitting alone in the waiting room, her fingers nervously tapping on a notebook with musical scores. "Your mother is stable," he announced. "It was a significant heart attack, but we managed to restore blood flow in time." Her sigh of relief was like a melody. "Can I see her?" "Soon. She will stay in the ICU for observation," Derek explained, noticing the weariness in her dark circles. "You seem exhausted." "I have a performance tonight," replied Alexis with a faint smile. "But obviously I'll cancel it." "Performance?" "I'm a singer," she said simply without elaborating. At that moment, Derek did not realize he was in the presence of Alexis Smith, whose voice filled stadiums and whose albums topped the charts. To him, she was just a concerned daughter, whose guitar-calloused fingers and penetrating gaze stirred something that had long been dormant in his orderly heart. "Coffee?" he offered impulsively, surprising himself. "The wait can be long." That coffee in the hospital cafeteria stretched over hours. Alexis spoke passionately about music, about how she grew up listening to her mother sing while cooking. Derek confessed his love for medicine, how he lost his father at a young age and decided to become a doctor. "I think we spend our whole lives trying to touch someone," Alexis said, swirling the spoon in the already cold coffee. "You with your patients, me trying to reach people with music." Something about that conversation stayed with Derek. In the following days, as Mrs. Linda recovered, he found excuses to visit the ICU more often than necessary. Alexis was always there, with her sheet music notebook, composing quietly. A week later, when Mrs. Linda was discharged, Derek gathered his courage. "Would you like to have dinner with me someday? To celebrate your mother's recovery, of course." Her smile lit up the sterile hallway. "I'd love to." Derek didn't know, but Alexis rarely accepted such invitations. Tired of harassment and fame, she kept her personal life protected at all costs. There was something different about that doctor who didn't seem to recognize her, who treated her like an ordinary person, not as a celebrity. The first dinner turned into many, always in discreet restaurants, walks in the park with Alexis always wearing sunglasses and a cap, conversations until dawn. Derek discovered who she really was when, strolling through a record store, he saw Alexis's face on an album cover. "Why didn't you tell me you were so famous?" he asked, more curious than accusing. "Because you're the first person in years to see me as Alexis, not as Alexis Smith the singer," she replied simply. "It's liberating." That moment defined their relationship. For Alexis, Derek represented normalcy, a safe harbour away from the spotlight. For Derek, Alexis brought colour to a life previously organised in shades of grey. They got married 6 months later in an intimate ceremony with only 10 guests. At Alexis's request and with Derek's agreement, they kept the marriage away from the media. He continued being Dr. Bailey at the hospital. She pursued her musical career, and at home, they were just Derek and Alexis, building a life where professional achievements mattered less than the small joys shared. This balance worked for 3 years. Derek supported Alexis behind the scenes when she needed to travel for concerts. She had learned to recognize when he came home exhausted from tough shifts. The arrangement was perfect, until it wasn't anymore. The news came on an ordinary Wednesday. Dr. Bernard, the director of Central Hospital, announced his retirement, and after extensive deliberation, the board had chosen Derek as his successor. Hospital director, Derek murmured to himself in the empty office, still holding the official announcement. I can't believe it. It was the recognition of years of dedication, sleepless nights, patience saved against all odds. His first call should have been to Alexis, who was on tour abroad. But something held him back. The phone call came the next day. Alexis had managed to get a break from the tour. I missed your voice, she said, the fatigue apparent despite the genuine joy. How are things? Derek mentioned patients, procedures, the weather, but not the promotion. Something held him back, an irrational fear that somehow associating his greatest professional achievement with Alexis's public life would diminish his own merit. Oh, I forgot to mention, Alexis commented casually before hanging up. I've been invited to sing at a charity event for Central Hospital next month. I accepted, of course. It will be good to do something for the hospital that saved my mother. Derek felt his stomach sink. The charity event in question would also be the formal ceremony to introduce the new director. That's great, he replied, masking his discomfort. I have to be there too, part of the job. After hanging up, Derek sank heavily into the office chair. Why hadn't he just told her? The uncomfortable answer echoed in his mind, because deep down he feared that his achievement would be overshadowed. That instead of Dr. Bailey, new director on his own merit, it would be the husband of famous Alexis Smith takes on an important position. In the days following, the event took shape. It would be a luxurious gala at the Grand Hotel, with the presence of important sponsors and influential members of society. As the new director, Derek would need to attend with a guest for the main table. Doctor, we need to confirm who will accompany you so we can arrange the seating, said Christina from administration. Derek hesitated for just a moment. My mother will accompany me. The words came out before he could think. His mother, Mrs. Teresa, a devoted widow who had sacrificed everything for him to study medicine after his father's death. It seemed appropriate, he thought, justifying it to himself. Alexis would be busy as the main attraction after all. What Derek didn't tell anyone, not even Alexis when they spoke on the phone in the following days, was that the gala would also be his official presentation as director. In their conversations, he only mentioned an important charity event, where she would sing and he would be present. Alexis returned from the trip 3 days before the event. Even though she was exhausted from the tour, she was radiant as she embraced him. Shall we match our outfits for the event? She asked, nestled on the sofa. I was thinking of a navy blue dress. You could wear a tie in the same colour. Derek felt his face warm up. Actually, love, you will be busy singing. I thought it might be better to invite my mother to accompany me. She's proud of the hospital and... Alexis studied his face for a moment that was a bit too long. I understand, she finally said, her expression unreadable. It makes sense. I will be busy anyway. The matter ended there, but something changed in the air between them. In the following days, Alexis seemed distant, occupied with rehearsals and preparations. Derek immersed himself in work, avoiding the growing discomfort. On the night of the gala, Derek helped his mother get ready, complimenting her formal dress purchased especially for the occasion. I'm so proud, son, said Mrs. Teresa, adjusting his tie. But why isn't Alexis coming with us? Even if she's singing later, Shouldn't she be by your side at the table? She has her preparations, he hedged. The artistic world is complicated, Mum. The Grand Hotel was magnificently decorated for the event. Elegant tables surrounded a central stage where Alexis would perform later. At the entrance, a large banner announced Central Hospital Charity Gala, presentation of the new director, Dr. Derek Bailey. Derek felt a shiver as he read his name. This was his night, his achievement. 8 years of residency, countless shifts, published research, lives saved, all culminating in this moment of recognition. The ceremony began with speeches. Dr. Bernard introduced Derek with laudatory words about his tireless dedication and professional excellence. Applause echoed as Derek stepped onto the stage for his own acceptance speech, thanking for the opportunity and promising to honor the trust placed in him. And now, the Master of Ceremonies announced after dinner, we have the honor of presenting our special guest, whose generosity in donating her talent to our cause deserves our most sincere thanks. Please welcome with warm applause Alexis Smith. The hall exploded in enthusiastic applause. Many guests stood up, clearly surprised and delighted by the presence of the famous singer. Derek felt a mixture of pride and discomfort as Alexis stepped onto the stage in a stunning navy blue dress, the colour he had suggested for them to match. "Good evening, everyone," began Alexis, her melodious voice effortlessly filling the hall. "It is an honour to be here supporting Central Hospital, an institution that holds a special place in my heart." She paused, her eyes briefly meeting Derek's. 4 years ago, my mother suffered a heart attack and was saved thanks to the exceptional team at this hospital, particularly thanks to a brilliant doctor who today is recognised for his talent and dedication. A murmur swept through the hall. Derek felt his face burn. "Before singing," Alexis continued, "I would like to personally congratulate Dr. Derek Bailey on his well-deserved promotion." Her voice showed no resentment, only sincere pride. "I am fortunate to know not only the exceptional doctor but the exceptional man behind the lab coat." "Congratulations, Derek." The guests turned to him with surprised expressions and smiles. Someone nearby murmured, "I didn't know they knew each other." Alexis's performance was moving. Her voice filled the hall with songs about love, hope, and transformation. Between songs, she shared the story of how her mother was saved at Central Hospital, speaking with genuine gratitude and admiration for the work of the healthcare professionals. During the intermission, Derek was approached by numerous guests, all impressed. "Dr. Bailey, I had no idea you personally knew Alexis Smith. What an honour to have someone of such prestige supporting our hospital. She spoke about you with so much respect, Doctor." With each comment, Derek felt a knot tightening in his stomach. What surprised him the most was that no one was diminishing his achievement. On the contrary, the connection with Alexis seemed to only add a layer of admiration to the professional respect they already had for him. After the presentation, while the guests mingled at the cocktail party, Derek excused himself from his mother and looked for Alexis backstage. He found her sitting alone, removing her makeup. "Your presentation was—" he began, unsure of how to continue. "Thank you," she replied, looking at him through the mirror's reflection. There was no accusation in her eyes, just a contained sadness. "Why didn't you tell me you knew about the promotion?" Derek asked, coming closer. "For the same reason you didn't tell me," Alexis replied softly. "I thought you needed this moment for yourself." Derek felt the shame growing in his chest. "Alexis, I know what you did, Derek," she said, turning to face him. "And I understand, more than you think." "No, you don't understand," he interrupted, finally confronting the truth. "I was ashamed, not of you, never of you, but of being overshadowed, of my greatest professional achievement being reduced to, look, the famous singer's husband got an important position." Alexis smiled sadly. "Do you know why I chose you 4 years ago? Because you were the only person who saw me beyond the fame. Ironically, Now you can't see yourself beyond my fame." The truth of those words hit Derek like a devastating diagnosis. For years, he had prided himself on being different from the obsessed fans or opportunists who surrounded Alexis. However, at the most important moment of his career, he had allowed the same prejudice he fought against to control his actions. "Forgive me," he said, holding her hands. "I was a fool. I was so worried about what others might think that I didn't realize that no one cares. Did you see how everyone adores you? How they spoke of you with admiration? And none of them diminished my achievements because of it." Alexis squeezed his hands. "What hurts me the most is that throughout my career, I've struggled to be recognized for my talent, not my appearance. You should understand that better than anyone." "I understand now," Derek replied, his voice choked with emotion. "I was wrong. I don't care about the attention that might come. I was never ashamed of you. I'm ashamed of my own insecurity." At that moment, knocks on the door interrupted the conversation. It was Mrs. Teresa. "Oh, here you two are," said the lady, entering with a smile. "Alexis, dear, your performance was wonderful. And Derek, everyone is asking about the new director." Derek looked at Alexis, a silent question in his eyes. She smiled, forgiveness evident in her gaze. "Well," said Derek, offering his arm to Alexis, "I think it's time to properly introduce my wife, not as the famous singer, but as the extraordinary woman who taught me that to shine doesn't mean to overshadow others." Upon returning to the ballroom arm in arm, the whispers and glances no longer mattered. Derek had learned that true recognition came not from titles or applause, but from the courage to be authentic. And as they mingled among the guests, introducing themselves as Dr. and Mrs. Bailey, he finally understood that Alexis's light didn't dim his own. It merely illuminated the path for both of them. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.